From the most dangerous cities in the world to some unbelievable living conditions, here are shocking places to explore on Google Earth. Number 10. Skid Row. Los Angeles is known for their fancy movie studios and beautiful beaches, but LA is also the possible original location of street life. And Google Streetcars is going to show it to us. You can get an idea of what life is like down here by checking out San Pedro Street, in an area that's home to over 6,000 homeless. Here we see people lined up in front of a medical clinic hoping to get some kind of treatment. You can also skim around and see how many people are out on the streets as opposed to living in homes, and gangs may have taken over. Some have built tents, and it's clear that the city needs to do something about it. Artwork typically comes in the form of street art, and you can see here on Crocker Street a good example. Number 9. Acapulco, Mexico. Acapulco has the 4th highest homicide rate in the world, with more than an average of 104 each year, which might make it seem a little bit creepy to explore on Google Earth. The military was called in September of 2018 after it was found that Acapulco police force was corrupt. In 2017 alone, 31,000 murders took place in Mexico, with 953 coming to Acapulco. If the military soon doesn't win the fight here, it's only a matter of time that it'll be ruled by gangs. Here is one of the more dangerous neighborhoods called La Morelos. You can notice a car with no windshield being covered up with a piece of cardboard. You can tell at one point in time this must have been a beautiful city and a perfect place to go on vacation, but in recent years, gangs have tagged up their turf and made it less desirable to visit. Here we're driving through another neighborhood where a horrific crime took place in an area known as Barranca de la Laja. You also have to wonder how this shop got all their car parts. Number 8. St. Louis Cemetery. This Roman Catholic cemetery is found in New Orleans, Louisiana, which contains some creepy above-ground vaults and was constructed in the 18th and 19th century. It's one of the oldest and most famous cemeteries that's still in use and opened in 1789. There are 2 parts of the cemetery, both of which are pretty creepy to explore on Google Maps. It contains crypts of some wealthy sugar pioneers and various frontiersmen. In modern times, it's believed to be one of the most haunted cemeteries in the world, mainly due to the voodoo priest named Marie Laveau. Her spirit still allegedly roams the cemetery. Witnesses have claimed to see a black cat with fiery red eyes that wanders around here. Her tomb has been vandalized and was even painted pink, which has led to a ban on public access to certain parts. Only registered tour groups can take a visit, or families with loved ones buried here. Number 7. Falculeta, Sofia. While Bulgaria sports many attractions that travelers want to check out, just like every country in the world, it's home to some tougher neighborhoods. As we travel to the eastern part of Sofia, we'll come across a neighborhood that might be a no-go zone for many people, but not the Google Streetcar. It's still there, driving around and taking photos, much to the surprise of the locals. The conditions here appear to be unsanitary to say the least, and getting a job isn't easy. Many will often resort to illegal ways in order to get money, and many Bulgarians are shocked by the infrastructure here. Many will refer to this area as a ghetto due to the large population of Turkish and Roma settlers. Number 6. Palermo, Sicily. In general, Western Europe is pretty clean, but sometimes cities can get pretty dirty too. Italy is ranked highest for pollution-related fatalities in European countries. Europe is much more densely populated than the US, and they know that if they don't do their part in staying eco-friendly, their air quality may become horrid almost overnight. In some parts of Palermo, you may begin to wonder if they simply don't have garbage men or women simply because it's overflowing on the street. Of course, there are other parts of the city that are nice, but it's rather shocking to see pollution levels in Italy get to this level. Many would be quite surprised to say the least if they came to this part of Italy and expected a romantic time with their partner. Many would rank this Sicilian city to be one of the most disappointing in all of Europe, which has a youth unemployment rate of at least 36%. There are also some rumors swirling around here that the mafia has managed to hide toxic waste somewhere in Sicily, so watch out. Number 5. Nairobi. Kenya is a country with an extremely high crime rate, especially in areas such as Nairobi, Mombasa, and Kisumu. But we'll take a look at Nairobi. This should definitely help you appreciate your life. Drop the Google man into the area called the Mukuru slums. You might see that there's a bunch of pollution going on and a very out-of-place bounce house. The people here often resort to crude forms of making money, such as selling dangerously made moonshine, which can make you go blind. Other forms of making money in the slums include sifting through the trash to find recyclable metals and plastics. Here we're taking a look at another one of the lower income areas of Kenya known as Kibera. people certainly struggle to earn about $1 a day. This is the largest slum in the city of Nairobi and possibly in all of Africa. Here in this area, clean water is scarce, there's no schools for the kids, and much of the ground is composed of trash. Number 4. Tetova. Tetova is located in the small country of Macedonia in the Balkans, and it surprisingly boasts the highest level in air pollution in Europe. Archaeological discoveries here date back to the early Bronze Age, and it has quite the interesting history which does attract tourists. After being under Soviet rule for so long, they're feeling the pressure to modernize, and it's coming at the price of their air quality. There seems to be a little bit of smog here, as you can notice from the Google Street View. This appears to be due to the coal plants that burn nearby. Much of the outer parts of the city are heavily polluted with garbage and graffiti. The wind seems to blow in the direction of Tetova, bringing particulate matter all over the city. Much wood is still used to generate power here as well. This photo here shows the high levels of toxic smog floating over Tetova. Number 3. Rio de Janeiro. Brazil hasn't really cleaned up its act and is still quite dangerous for tourists. The beautiful Copacabana beach is a long stretch of white sand, exotic women, and quite a bit of sunshine. But to the northwest of this massive city in Brazil, which is one of the most dangerous places in the world right now, you'll find some scary stuff. Favelas have sprung up in this city, which would seem to show some of the poor conditions of the entire world, where crime riddles the streets. Police won't even come to these parts of town, but guess who will? That's right, the Google streetcar. We also challenge you guys to spot someone here not wearing flip-flops. Even this guy on a motorbike is still flip-flopped up. Street life has taken over in these crime-riddled areas, and we hope the Google streetcar made it out okay. Number 2. Sewell, Chile. Completely surrounded by the Chilean Andes Mountains, this remote abandoned place is found at an altitude of over 6,000 feet, making it quite difficult to access. It was founded in 1906 by the Braden Copper Company in order to extract copper ore from the mountains. By 1915, the town was well organized with the addition of a hospital, a fire department, and a social club. Buildings were mostly made of timber and were displayed with bright colors like we see here. The large town grew up to be about 12,000 people in 1918, and at its peak, in the 1960s, that number grew to 16,000 people. Also known as the City of Staircases, it's built on the side of a mountain, which certainly made transportation by car a little bit tricky. It turned out that staircases were the best way for inhabitants to get around. In 1967, the decline began when the Kennecott Copper Company lost ownership of the site and the Argentinian government sought control of the land. Plus, most people were beginning to move to other locations where more copper was being found. The Chilean government decided to keep the city as a ghost town, and now it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. You can actually explore this place quite well on Google Maps. A lot of the buildings still look to be in good condition, but you can tell no one's living there. Number 1. The Salton Sea. A resort town was built near this body of water, which became a popular location for boating. Many people once flocked here to soak up the sun, go jet skiing, and drive fancy yachts in the booming 50s and 60s. Stars like the Beach Boys and Bono would come to this lake, right in the heart of California's desert. It's probably now the last place you want to go on vacation unless you enjoy putrid odors and some of those boats that are left abandoned at this decaying lake. You can easily check it out on Google Maps if you don't believe it for yourself. Not all good things last forever, and this place quickly turned into an ecological nightmare due to pesticides and fertilizers from nearby farms and the irrigation system. It's seen as one of California's biggest environmental blunders of all time. It became much too polluted to sustain life or even fish. The inhabitants quickly fled once the smell of water became too unbearable. To this day, dead fish still litter the once popular beaches, leaving a rotten egg-like smell that would be enough to scare off any urban explorer, and it's certainly not good for tourism. The size of the lake continues to shrink even in 2019, and the smell of rotting fish will continue to get worse.